Should I make a video on removing this engine? Yeah, I don't know. We'll see, I guess, how it plays out. And there you go. It's rolled out of there. And I know what you're thinking. Well, I don't have a lift jack. Alrighty, so since I pulled the motor out of the junkyard Prius, the one headed to the junkyard, I've taken it to the junkyard. Well, I should have got some video of that, although it's not dramatic. It's not being picked up by a big, claw like in Toy Story. That looks cool when they pick them up like that. But this, no, just used a forklift. It was boring. All right, so the first step is, the very first step is to make sure the car's on and it's in neutral, because once you turn the power off, you can't shift it out of gear. So you leave the key on, leave it in neutral, so the steering turns, the transmission turns. That's step one. Put it in neutral. Step two, come over here and pull this black thing out. That disconnects the power. I think this is like for the radio backup data. I don't know what it's for. Okay, then you got to pull the, take this stuff off, and you get in here, and there's your orange plug to disconnect the high voltage battery. So we're all good. Now, so step one, put it in neutral. Step two, disconnect the batteries. Step three is we're going to get in here and we're going to disconnect the steering so we can pull the suspension off. So let's do that. Pull this carpet back, and then there's these little hand tight nylon nuts holding this cover on. Goes off. This thing just pulls out. Get out of the way. And turn the wheel. So that is, those look like 12 millimeters. Pretty sure. Yep, 12. So there's two of them. There's one up there. See that one right there? And then there's that one. You gotta take them both off, and then this piece just slides out of here. Okay, so I removed these. You have to completely remove them. You can't just loosen them up because they have a slot that they're holding. So let's get in here with a screwdriver and push this thing up. Comes right out. There we go. We're done with that. So now that the rack can just drop out of there. Okay, now we can move to the front, open the hood, and now we need to take off all of the windshield wiper system. And so pretty much you got to take these bolts out. You got to pop this cover off and take that bolt out, take the washers out, and then this there's two plastic pieces, and take those off. And they'll separate out. I always thought that there was a screw. Oh yeah, there's screws here. The other car didn't have one. Didn't have any. Someone must have done some work on it and didn't put it back. Yeah, see, looks like the screws Nope, screws in there. So yeah, there's those 2 screws. Don't forget those because you'll be frustrated. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this out. So yeah, just pop that off with this little screwdriver. These are 14s. Just take them off. Tight it all. What I do, put all my nuts in a box, and there all the parts I stick on the roof of the car. So, take these in there. This just comes off. Oops. You probably want to see that, don't you? This comes off. I'll just go set it up here. And if you want to be careful, put a towel or something, you can see I don't really care. So, I have scratches all over my car. In fact, my daughter's going to be driving this, and she doesn't like it when she has to take care of them and worry about scratches. I don't care either. I don't think I've ever had a super nice car. Well, that's not true. I've had some that I try not to scratch. I always enjoy the ones I don't have to worry about. Okay, so with that off, oh, we got to get those Phillips screws. Okay, got one side off, sitting up there. And just take this set off, and they just pull right out. Once you get that screw out, remove the whole. Remove the windshield wiper system, the motor and stuff. So you gotta undo the plug. You need to unplug this and then pull the grommet off and get the plug. See there? Get the plug out of there. And now you gotta take all these. You gotta take this off and undo all these clips. There, I got some light. So my screwdriver was a little too big, so you just push it in here and pull them up, and they open right up. Okay, with all those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 screws, and I got this undone and pulled out of there. This just lifts up out of there. We'll go stick it up here. Well, look at that. I cleaned it up. I usually don't bother. It's just for you guys that I did it. But now you can see this bolt right here, and there's one on the other corner. Couldn't see with all the dirt, even though I knew they were there. But being clean, you can now see all of them. You can see that one, this one, that one, and that one. So let's take them off. Okay, this bolt, those bolts, that's gone. Now we can just put this up. Comes right out of there. Comes right out when you got all the bolts. Let's stick it up here with the rest of the junk. Now we can get to these bolts. We're gonna have to remove these and take off these connectors. Those just pop off. It takes 2 hands. And then we got screws to hold these on. However, I'm going to drain the fluid before I take this apart. Okay, so we're going to take off this, and to do that we need to take these screws out here, which is a T30. And for some odd reason, this is not a T30. This is a T40. A T40 goes in here. I don't know, this just seems bizarre to me. But so we're going to take these. Well, can't take this one off unless we take this one off. So to take this off, all you do is pull. you just slide this back. You're gonna need kind of a screwdriver. Some kind of screwdriver. But you just slide it back and it comes off. Yeah, you could mess with that for hours if you don't do it the right way. Seems like this is supposed to pull out from this, but no, that's not how it works. And yeah, well, I'll do these later. But now I can get both of these torque screws off. Alright, so I took those torques off, and now I realize why they're bigger than these. These are just holding this cover on, where these torques are actually holding in this socket. And it's also got these 10 millimeter that are for the connections, but it's actually holding the plug in. So that's probably why it's bigger. So loosen these up and then tap them down. Now the plug underneath won't break free. Take that off now. Alright, got those torques out. So now you've got some 3 12 millimeters and then those 10s, and then those will pull out. And these come off just by pressing the clip down and pulling them. Just takes 2 hands. So yeah, it's always good to put your screws back in if you can. It's often not possible. So then down here there are these 2 plugs, and just kind of use a screwdriver and work the same with these. I just pressed them down real hard, and you can hear it kind of click. And then I just, while I was holding it down, I used a screwdriver and just kind of shoved them out. So now, took off this bolt and this bolt, and then there's these two right here. These 2, gotta undo those so it'll pull up, and then it's just the hoses. And it should come right out. Okay, so I undid this hose, and this hose, and it should come right out of there. Got some gloves on this time. This plug has to come out. It's gonna take 2 hands. Should pull right out. Alright, so it just kind of comes up. I had to reach down and pull that plug out, but then I forgot this ground strap right here. Okay, there we go, lifted it right out of there. That ground thing was kind of caught on this. Oops. Let's throw that over. Actually, maybe I'll put it in with the screws. So, yeah, you want to take this out as the next step, because now you need to get down and undo the clips for the wiring into the steering. Alright, so this one I just pressed it with a screwdriver and it comes off. Putting it on may be a little harder. You might be able to reach it from underneath fairly well. Okay, so this one, don't know about that one. See, there's the connector. You can kind of see what you need to push down right there where that white is, that white light. Right behind it is where the button, the connector is. You might be able to reach it from underneath. I don't think so though. Alright, well, let's move to something easier for the moment. I think I'm about done for the day. Come on, get this back out. Let's let's look at the gas line. So there's this plastic thing, and you just pull it off like that, and it just comes off. And there's these two buttons on each side of this thing. Just press them down and then kind of wiggle this thing off. And then there are the fuel lines off. So that's easy. Let that dry out while I come back tomorrow. So it always is nice to come back and have a fresh take on things. So I got that, you can see I got that connector off, and how I got it off is I just used a really long screwdriver and unhooked it from this one. Now, can you see that? Unhooked it from this mount, and then I could just reach down there and undo it. So, and then I disconnected this one. So, you should be able to pull the suspension out now. So I'm going to raise the car up and start taking the suspension apart. Okay, so I got all this taken apart. Let's review what you need to do. First of all, I got the caliper undone, so there's 14mm bolts, and I just use a 9/16 open-end wrench. You're gonna have to put a wrench on this. It's kind of hard to see. That's just like a lock nut, so that tightens down on this to make it not come off. So you just hold this and then take this one. It's a 14mm. So once that's off, you want to wire it up to the strut here, out of the way. And then I also took off. You got to take off the sensor. This is the wheel speed sensor that it's in, right? It's kind of hard to see, isn't it? Shed some light on the situation. So that's the speed sensor, goes right there. So it's a 10mm. I always put the bolts back where they came out of so I don't lose them. So that, take that off, and then you've got these. I think these are 17mm bolts that hold the spindle onto the strut. Take those off. And you got the 30mm axle nut, which probably better to do it first before you do anything and while the car's still on the ground. But I've got an impact. I've got this where will be impact done, so I was able to just take it off with the impact gun. So, and then the last thing is the sway bar mount. It mounts right there, right here, right there. So now all of this, everything is detached from this. So now this can drop down. We got to go do the other side. And then there's just two bolts here, that one there. There, that's better. That one there, and that one there. I think those are also 17s. So I'm going to go ahead and loosen them, but not take them off because it'll just fall down. It's kind of up in the air, so we don't want to have it fall down. And we already undid the electrical. So let's put this over here. So I'm going to go ahead and loosen those up. Alright, so this is a 19mm. So I'm going to put a breaker bar on here. Easy to do if you got this part. There. So, gonna need an extension to get comes up through this hole. We'll go find that. But anyway, that's pretty much it. I'm going to do the other side, and then this thing will drop right down. Alright, so I undid this side just like the other side, and I actually took out the half shaft, which this side it comes out pretty easy. You can get to the tip right here, you just kind of pound on it and it'll come out. But this side does not want to come out. It is extremely difficult. I'm dripping on my camera. This side, so I'm leaving this side in, and I'm going to take it out once the engine and transmission are out. So the next step is to remove the plastic cover. There's a bunch of 10mm bolts that hold the little plastic cover that covers the engine area. And then I drain the fluids out of the engine and the transmission, and try to clean up my mess. So then got to undo this support that connects the suspension to the engine, lower mount, and I am going to keep the air conditioning connected. So I'm going to remove the compressor here and just kind of, you know, tie it back so I don't need to break the seal on it, and I can just put the same compressor back. So to do that, I'm going to have to loosen the belt, and there's this 14mm bolt here, and it's easier to get to it from up above. But unlike like the Chevys or Fords, where you just twist it and it loosens up, there's a tightening bolt right here. Oh, you probably can't see it. There's a bolt. You have to take this bolt out, or at least loosen it, and then there's a bolt that you screw to adjust the tight tension. So I'm gonna have to do that with this down on the ground. So all of the wires need to be removed. There's no engine disconnect on this, like I'm used to in other cars. So all of these connectors, the whole wiring harness connected to the engine, has to come off, and the transmission. Not a whole lot on the transmission, but it's you know, in the other car I had the radiator out and everything, so it was a little easier to get to all the wiring. But I guess one tip I will give is that there's a lot of clips for the wiring, like that one right there, and you can just put a screwdriver in and it just opens up. So that's real easy. It can be very frustrating trying to do it. Oh, I also forgot to mention, you want to take all the hoses off. So there's the hoses going to the transmission. And up on top, there's the top radiator hose, and there's the bottom radiator hose, although you could probably take it off from the radiator up above. Alright, so yeah, I just wanted to point out that this plug is water. So, you know, kind of probably drain the coolant from here, and so before you take off this hose, it's a little easier to have it come straight down. So another tip there for you. So it's time to I took off what connectors I can. There's a couple of them here, a couple of them over on the AC. So I'm going to go ahead and lower this down and take the suspension out. Alright, so this is on the ground now, and I discovered, you see that broken connector? That's the ground, and it was on right there. So that little 10mm bolt should have been undone to take that ground off. So you might check on that one. Something I forgot. Wire just pulled out of there, so shouldn't be too hard to fix. Alright, well, you know, now I can sort of get to this this half shaft, so I might try and get that out of there now. So I just used a crowbar and the hammer, put the crowbar right in here and just kind of pound it a little bit, and it comes right out. Because I tell you, it's impossible to get this out when the suspension is in there. That was pretty easy. Okay, now I moved the car back down with the suspension out, and I'm starting to take off the wires, but I gotta get the AC compressor out. So, but I started undoing some wires. Gotta unplug this plug here, undo the clip there. There's two 10 millimeters up here, and then this just pulls out. It's kind of hard to get out because there's a clamp. Well, that's why it was a little hard, but it does just pull out. It's just rubber. So with that gone, you can see a lot more of the connections. So whatever this is, it's so hard to press these connectors. But all right, I'm just going to start taking. Well, we can see. So there's a 14 millimeter here, and then once that is loose, I'm trying to undo these. Once all that is loose, once that one is loosened up, then you can. I think you actually have to take it all the way out. Then you can adjust this to move that in and loosen up the belt, and then you can get the AC compressor off. Alright, I got most of the wiring undone, and I note that this wire just goes from the harness to over there. It doesn't disconnect, but you know, the motor and trans are going to drop down, so as long as everything is underneath it, it's fine. Same for the wiring harness. It's all disconnected, except for something down there. There's something down there that I don't know. These wires are all disconnected, but they won't pull through. So I'm going to raise the car back up, and I still need to undo the water, the hose, but I think I'm just going to undo it from right here. I'll do that right now. I got this the belt loose and off, so I'm going to raise it up and take off the air conditioning. But I think I'm going to take this belt off first, because I think it's the only one left. Everything else is disconnected. Alright, so we got all the wires, connectors off, and it's kind of a pain. A few of them, really annoying. And it's also all the little clip things are kind of hard to get to, but they're all in there, they're all off, and it will slide right up now. Get out of the way so the motor can come right down. I got the AC off, all the hoses off, and did this hose from the top, which was a pain in the butt. I don't know. I mean, these clamps, these hose clamps, are not made to come off. I mean, you squeeze them all the way and they still won't pull away the hose. It's extremely annoying. So I almost forgot two things. If you look up here, you see those two bolts or nuts. Those have to be undone. There's two on the top, but they will hold it in, but the bottom ones need to come out. It's pretty hard to do that from the top. Alright, so I took off this bolt, and then these two. Well, we already got the ones underneath, remember? And then it just pretty much is loose. So I started raising it up, just make sure nothing else is forgot about anything, because you know that happens. Certain things. Alright guys, this is the gas. It's on the engine. The wiring is all staying up here. So I think we're good. I'm just going to go ahead and raise it all the way up now. Alright, well there's the engine out of the car, and you'll see what happened there. It basically fell off my dollies, and yeah, that's the downside of having a lift, is that you don't, you get careless on what's going on under there. So if you're crawling underneath using floor jacks, you're going to be carefuler. So I think, well, I got it crooked and I can't pull it. This is too heavy for me to lift up and put back on the dollies. So I'm going to separate the engine from the transmission just to make it a little easier to move, although I can't pick up those transmissions either. They're like 150 pounds, I think, maybe 200 pounds. The motor's not very heavy, actually. But so yeah, I need to move it out of here so I can move the other one into position and put it back together. Although I think I might call it a day. So okay. Well, to put the other motor back in, it's just the reverse, right? Hey, that's what it is. It's just the reverse, All right. Should be done here. Thanks for watching.